Hello everyone. I'm just checking the audio has come through all right. Yep, that seems to be great. Hello everyone, thank you for joining us tonight for Assembly Online. Tonight's event is with Original Projects, who are based in Great Yarmouth, and will be hosting tonight's event. The event is not from around here, and will feature a number of small-scale organisations and individuals from Great Yarmouth. I'll let them introduce themselves rather than reading out anything myself. But for now, I'm going to pass over to them to host the event, and I'll be back at the end to tell you a bit about what we've got coming up soon. Do post any questions or comments in the chat during the event. We'll make sure those are forwarded into the discussion. So, yeah. There's a little hello from Great Yarmouth. Also, Kaavous is saying in the chat who is watching and listening, so do post your names there because it's always nice to see who's tuned in for these things. Hello from Rosie, hello from Lygia. All right.
Hi, are we ready?
Go.
Unmuted by host. Good evening, everybody. We're Original Projects. My name's Julia Devonshire.
I'm Kaavous.
We've been based in Great Yarmouth for about 3 years, working here as with our organisation, but also as residents, and with wanting to get really stuck into the community that we work within. So our raison d'etre is we deliver an artist-led collaborative programme in response to Great Yarmouth, engaging with the communities, industries and heritage to uncover, support, create and promote cultural experience, assets and enterprise. Our activity explores the relationship between generosity, creativity and place through exhibitions, workshops, public commissions, conferences, podcasts, a Sonic Arts Festival and gastronomic events.
Sorry, can someone if someone's got YouTube open, can you make sure it's on mute because the audio is feeding back? Maybe Anna or someone, I'm not sure. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. It's all right. It's all right. Well, this just gives us the chance to breathe. You ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we deliver this all in partnership with learning providers, other cultural organisations, community and the voluntary sector and local businesses. And we can't do it without being in and of the place that we work in. So hence we've invited other grassroots organisations and individuals to come and chat with us tonight about what they do in Great Yarmouth. Is that about right?
That sounds good. Yeah.
We're curious to know more about our friends, but also would like to sort of reveal a little bit more about what goes on here and the reality of how that feels for everybody. So have I missed anything?
No, yeah, and it's quite organic. It's conversation. I mean, if something comes out of it, then that's great. Obviously, we haven't had much chance to meet face to face recently, so yeah, just an opportunity to get together and have a chat is really valued, even if it is just over this weird platform. Which, yeah,
to an audience
anyway.
we can't see.
Do you want to go first, Anna? Do you want to talk a little bit about who you are and what you do?
You might need to unmute yourself.
Oh, so can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So, hi everyone. Good evening. My name is Anna Moreira. I live in Great Yarmouth for about 7 years now, coming from London. I lived in London for about 10 years. And when I came to Great Yarmouth, it was just for a visit, to visit some friends that lived here. And then I sort of like fell in love with Great Yarmouth and I decided to move here. So when I came here, one of the things that I realized was like, it wasn't nothing around here that could promote like the Afro-Portuguese, like in terms of music, culture. So I found that I was the person that could bring something like this to Great Yarmouth, because my background was around that. I used to dance a lot in schools and theatres in Portugal, coming over from Portugal. So I thought I could bring this flavor to Great Yarmouth. And I did. This is when the idea of bringing the Afroluso dance group to Great Yarmouth came. I just thought I just didn't see anything around Great Yarmouth. And talking with some friends here, we came up with this like brilliant idea of bringing something to do with maybe music. And then maybe we thought about like food, music, something to bring like people together. Yeah, and then we came out with the brilliant name Afroluso. Why Afroluso? Because it's Afroluso from the African countries plus the Luso, which is the countries that is being colonized by Portugal. So we actually used to like meet up in friends' house before we actually had a physical place. And then after a while, we had a lot of good support from the library, Great Yarmouth Library, where they could like offer us a good place we could meet. And then the kids start coming to see us what we were doing, and then they join in. So a couple of months after, I had like a group of brilliant kids coming together, bringing some music and steps and everything. So after that, I just say like, wow, this is great. It's just like happened like this. So let's formulate like maybe a group. We could just dance and probably go to different events around Great Yarmouth. But it was just like the idea, nothing ever happened. And then we had an invitation, was our first invitation to go to a diversity event for Black History Month. I'm talking about now 8 years ago when it all started. And yeah, and then we did our first performance. And then from there we didn't stop. So basically Afroluso start with the first group. Now I'm working with the second group, because the first group does not sort of exist because they all grown up, they all have their lives and everything. But now I've got a brilliant group of 10 lovely girls. The group is very diverse. So basically what we do with Afroluso is like we take part in different events around Norfolk, from diversity events, cultural events, carnivals, birthday parties. So this is what Afroluso does. And we meet often to get the steps together, and we have a chat. Afroluso is not all about the dance, but it's to bring as well the flavor of the Afro-Portuguese culture. And now I can show you a little bit of what we do. Our group is very diverse, and the girls are lovely. So I'm going to share the screen and give you a little, so you have an idea what sort of things we do. Just bear with me. So enjoy. If you want to dance a little bit, you're more than happy to do it, because the music, it's lovely.
Kaavous
enjoyed it. And yeah, this is Afroluso. And if you want to get in touch for any sort of like events, we're not in the time right for physical events, but in the future, if you want to contact us, just contact me on our Facebook page or contact Original Projects, anyone, Ruben, anyone, Pedro. Okay, I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, this is it.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Anna. That's one of my favourite music videos ever, I have to say. But also, we have been going to Zumba for about 3 years now and haven't been invited to join the dance troupe yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Which we will.
Soon.
One thing you said quite early on, which maybe we can come back to after everyone was introduced themselves, was that you fell in love with the Great Yarmouth.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can ask about that.
I had to mention that because of the purpose of the event, isn't it? Because I did. People sometimes has this thing about Great Yarmouth, and I like to mention this. Yeah, I fell in love with Great Yarmouth, and I love living in here, and I love doing so many things around here, and with lovely people, that I've met since I started Afroluso 8 years ago. The amount of great people I met through networking is just amazing. It's through like the community and in the events that is going on. It's just like, it's amazing. So this is what the highlight I like to make it.
Brilliant. Yeah, we love it too.
Yeah.
So maybe, Pedro, do you want to say something about yourself and what you do?
Right. Hope you can hear me now. I was just trying to unmute in that. Right. My name is Pedro. I'm originally from Mozambique. Born in the capital of Maputo. Lived there for 10 years or so, and then I moved to Portugal, to army boarding school for the studies. And I did left Portugal in 2008. Arrived in UK, Norwich, 2008 again, July, I think. That was quite a bit of a time. I think it's been already 12 or 13 years already in UK. But I moved to Yarmouth in 2010. So it's been 10 years already in Yarmouth. Main reason was obviously family back in the times. I don't know. Once I arrived to Great Yarmouth, I got actually involved a little bit within my Portuguese community, because back in Norwich there is some good Portuguese community, but there wasn't much as in Great Yarmouth. So for me, it was like, okay, I feel nice, feel homely, like. So it was good. So I got to meet a lot of new Portuguese people, and I worked for a little while in their factories and stuff like that. And then I started engaging with the community. Before engaging with the community, I was studying music in Great Yarmouth College. Back in the time, it used to be called Great Yarmouth College. Music Standard Diploma Level 3. So focus myself on performing arts. Not much of like production or whatsoever, more of like performing, getting out there, engage with the public. So I think through that, I started actually engaging more with the community. I found the right people. I started being involved in events and stuff like that. We done some brilliant events back in the time. One that never comes out of my mind was Together's One. I think that was sort of like a big push, like obviously towards to get everybody together and to share more of the Portuguese side, if I may say, and it was inclusive as well, like with the English community as well. So it was really good. So from there, I mean, I started engaging much more with other type of groups, and I got to meet new people and everything. So I think that was sort of like life changing, because I was in sort of like, I don't really know what I want to do, like, because I am a singer as well. I'm a singer, I'm a musician. I like to say better musician, because I don't know. Right now, I'm experimenting new things, and the music is starting to flow much more. Like, so I consider myself like a singer, producer, if I may say so, performer sometimes. But yeah, been engaging directly with the community since then, on and on. Whenever we can do something, I'm always there to do something. And like since last year, I started developing a little group called, it comes from the artistic name they used to have, well, I still have, which is MRP, But if anybody asks me like what MRP means magnificent representing passion. So it's a sort of like a big name, but it has a lot of meaning to it. And like I start a little group, well, sort of like last year to actually give a chance to other people. Because when I started, I had the writing skills, if I may say so, not good as I am right now. But I had some writing skills and I wanted to show that to the whole world. But I didn't really know where to start from or who to engage or where to engage. Like, so with these events, like back in, I don't know, 2011, 2012, something like that, sort of like opened new doors for me. And I got to learn much more from that point of view, from that side till today. And so I thought of like forming this group, Magnificent Representing Passion, which, sort of like will give that, will be sort of like a chance to somebody else who's got some skills, could be writing skills, singing skills, dancing, painting, anything like, creativity, just to, get out there, like, because I already know a lot of you. Why not share a little bit? So it's all about like obviously sharing, like showing them, okay, if you got a little thing that you'd like to show or to give, like, you know, there's there's a chance you can get it, like, So it's all about link up. So yeah, lately I haven't been doing much. I haven't been doing much. I've mainly spending my time focused on the music, trying to learn new things, like, expand a little bit my creative sides, and focus a little bit on the group. I can show you a little bit of the page. I'll just show a little intro. Just bear with me. I'm just gonna show you the screen, but it's really interesting. Okay. All right. So this is the website. Anybody that is interested to see it, they can access by magnificentrepresentingpassion.com, and here you'll find a range of things that you can go through, and some of the events that I've been doing as well. One of my latest events actually was for Black Month History. It was a collaboration work with Will. We called it Mitrono. It was sort of like challenging because I've never actually worked with other artists like that. But sort of like done a backing track and he's done a video work, and we sort of like collaborated. Anyway, in the website you can find a blog spot where we put stuff monthly on a monthly basis related to music or any sorts of arts. You got forum events, and here speaks a little bit of our purpose and that. So yeah, this is what I've been doing lately. Not much, and yeah, and here you go. I'll pass back the word to Kaavous.
Great, thank you, Pedro. I noticed you didn't say that you fell in love with Great Yarmouth.
Oh yeah, I did. I did. No, actually, I did. This was one of the reasons when I arrived in Great Yarmouth. Right, I only knew my sister and some friends. That's all I knew back in that time. But once I start spending more time, start actually seeing cafes, I start seeing a lot of Portuguese people. I was like, okay, this sort of like feels home. Like, when you, how can I explain this? When you come from Portugal, used to some sort of like different environment, like, but then you come to UK, everything is new, and you sort of like have to adapt very quick, like, and you have to adapt to the people as well. Nothing wrong, nothing against England. I love England, I really do. But I felt sort of like um alone, like in Norwich, because I didn't have that Portuguese connection or people, like. So when I moved to Yarmouth, I was like, okay, my sister is here, brilliant. The people, there's Portuguese people, there's African people, even better, man. We've done so many great things, and I think that made, it made me love actually Great Yarmouth, and I love Great Yarmouth for that. And I love the sea as well, because I was born by the sea. I'm from Mozambique. Maputo, pretty much majority of Maputo is like sea. So it's one of the things that I really appreciate in Great Yarmouth is the people and the sea. So obviously I love Great Yarmouth.
The right answer. Yeah, one of many right answers, but that's
One of many. There's so many things, but
Lotte, do you want to go next and say a bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, hi everyone. It's quite weird being on Zoom with people who are just down the road. But I guess that's the times we're living in right now. Just to say, if my connection, because I think other people in the building have just started watching this maybe. So if my connection goes funny or slows or anything, or buffers, just tell me. And I'll go tell them to turn it off. But yeah, I'm Lotte. I've been living in Yarmouth around 2 years now. My mum's from here and my grandparents as well. But none of them live here now. I think they're both watching, so shout out to them. My mum left here when she was about 17, and she was always quite like, it was like quite mysterious, this place, Great Yarmouth, that like she didn't talk a lot about, but I knew she had grown up in. And a bit like Anna, I was living somewhere else. And then I was like, you know, I started thinking about, oh, what is this place, Great Yarmouth? And then I was like coming here and staying in this like really dingy hostel for £10 a night at weekends on the seafront, and just like walking around. And at some point I was just like, oh, I think this is a really interesting place. It's like I spent part of my childhood in a market town in South Norfolk, and like I think of Norfolk as like very homogenous, you know, like very white, like a very like, you know, like a very specific like demographic of people. And then coming to Yarmouth, I was like, oh, this feels completely different. And something about even as small as like people hanging out on the streets, you know, and like I feel like in a lot of places in England, there's not a culture of hanging out on the streets, and there is here. And that's not just because of migrants, like many migrants living here. It's also like there's a lot of British people, but there's like a culture somehow of being outside as much as being inside, I think, here. So then I moved here, and like I'm a poet, like I write poetry, and I thought, oh, it'd be cool to organise some poetry readings, which I got some Arts Council funding for. And we had the first one at the start of March, just before lockdown. So none of the other ones have been able to happen. So I used that funding instead to set up a press, because I was meeting so many people who, when you'd be like, oh, I'm a poet, you know, or I write poetry, they'd be like, oh, I also write, you know, but like I haven't shared it with anyone, or like I want to share it with people. And so for me, poetry is something that's like not just something I do in my room alone. It's also something that like you participate in with other people and you build relationships through. And so I thought I'll set up like a press here to just publish and distribute work locally with and for people here. And one thing that like was really amazing about, say, the poetry reading in March, it was like so intergenerational. And I'd been so used to living in places where you know, you go to an event, especially like a poetry one, and you already kind of know who's going to be there, and like, you know, what age they're going to be, or like what kind of scene they're going to be part of. And because of Yarmouth being a town and a much smaller place, and like you get to know people quicker, and you also get to know people who may be different ages or don't share interests with you, but you overlap because you're neighbours or because you pass each other in the street. And that's something I really like, and I really feel living here. And that's something with the press I want to do, where, you know, it's not like a scene, it's just like what actual community could be, of just people being in the same physical place. Yeah. Wait. Yeah, what did you say? You were muted.
Sorry, spacebar wasn't working. Yeah, it touched on something that we might come back to later, something about scale and connecting with your usual group or your scene. So, for instance, in Norwich, we would have been hanging out with a contemporary art community or group, and here there isn't really one. So yeah, we hang out with you guys instead, or other people. But anyway, we'll come back to that later on. Yes, last but not least, Ruben.
All right, my time now.
One has to be last. Sorry, it's you.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But is that moment that you are now on air, you want to talk and you don't know what to say. I've been all this time thinking, so now I'm going to say this, and now I'm kind of blank. I'm like, all right, my name is Ruben. Anyway, my name is Ruben. I'm from Reprezent projects. I moved to Yarmouth, I would say, about 9 years ago, nearly 10. And I moved here for holidays the first time. So my sister used to live in Yarmouth, and as a present for my 16 years, she decided, oh, you come to UK, see me. So she bought me a ticket to come over here, and I spent all summer with her over here. And there I kind of find a link, some energy in Yarmouth on the time, maybe because there was so much Portuguese people around, and maybe that make a connection like, oh, there's a little Portugal. Like lots of people say, Yarmouth is a little Portugal. So I kind of got the connection, and there I kind was on a time that I want to study performing arts, but in Portugal it's very, very complicated to do that. And I was like, I really don't know what to do. Maybe I should go to Lisbon, because where I live is about 3 hours from Lisbon. And there, when I spend holidays here, I kind of got some information from the college, what I need to do. And I was like, no, I need to move to UK. I need to study here. And the drama all start in UK anyway. The best schools of drama and theatre is in UK. So I was like, no, I'm going to move to England. So I spent my summer over here, went back to Portugal and said, Mom, Dad, I'm going to England. So at the end, it was very complicated. Then they decided to come with me, what was really, really good. So I studied performing arts for 3 years until I was about 19. I studied 2 years of ESOL, and then I done 3 years of performing arts, so 5 years on City College, Norwich. And at that time, my last year, I was already living in Norwich. So I was living something a little bit different than Yarmouth. So I already had the passion for Yarmouth. I saw what Yarmouth adds, and then I had what Norwich have. And that made me a little bit of a confusion, because Yarmouth was such a nice place, but I didn't see a lot around for young people. And that really upset me. And I was like, okay, how is possible that we are so close to a city, even knowing that Yarmouth is a town, but how is possible that a place have got so much to offer, another one doesn't have really lots to offer to young people, but also both places are beautiful. Like Yarmouth on the summer, you cannot even walk on Regent Road. Like, it is a magical place. It's a place with heritage and history. It's a beautiful place. And I was like, okay, I'm very, very confused. So instead going to university, I decide, okay, so I'm not gonna live in Norwich anymore. I go back to my mom's house on that time, and I'm gonna see what I can do to make the difference. So I decided to create at the beginning a community group that was like bringing people together, young people, to kind of support the urban arts, doing like something creative, and that became on a scale bigger and bigger and bigger. What is great. So at the moment, we are in a point that Reprezent projects, we are working with more people, we are doing more festivals, we are giving workshops on schools and other places. So become something bigger than I thought. And what is great, because everything I've done, and since the beginning, I talk about me, but I talk as well about everyone help me on this organization, because I believe that there is always a team can grow together, and it's not only me, there is another 20 people at least on my back help me every day to make this place and make everything we do even better and better and great. But every day I'm falling more in love with Yarmouth, because now there is even more opportunities. And there's something probably we're going to be talking later. I think there has been evaluation in Yarmouth for the last, I would say, at least 5 years. I think it's getting better and better and better, because also I think 5 years ago we wouldn't be sitting on a laptop and talking, every one of us creating something amazing. Every day we've got someone new from a different culture creating a community group like us and doing something brilliant and amazing. And what is great is we have got more outsiders and some insiders creating a community group or creating a movement or creating workshops around the town every day. And what is great, it is we need more people like this. We need more creatives. And I think in 10 years, we're going to be looking and we are like better than Norwich, better than Blackpool. We are just great. Anyway, enough of me, enough of Reprezent project. Because everyone shared a video and show a video, I'm going to show you a video as well. At the moment, Reprezent project is doing a project that we really want to do for a long time, what is giving some colors on the street of Great Yarmouth. I don't have a video yet for that because we are doing a small documentary on that. But I can show you a video that my friend Jules, that is over there, supporting us on that, and Original Project was part of the same project as well, what was making the waves together. They were one of our, like, they were part of the funding, they were partners. What was the underground gallery? What was the first kind of colorful underpasses in Great Yarmouth? So I'm going to share that video. Let me see. I think it's like that. Is that playing? Yeah, is that on the screen? Okay. But hang on, let's start again. I don't know if I should unmute. I never done share on Zoom. Okay. Maybe if I move. Okay, let's just ignore it and we start again.
Let the credits roll.
I had to wait for the credits. Come on. I love.
You want to credit everybody?
I love. Just 1 second. Sorry, baby. I love to go back and see these videos. Make me so proud. Well, anyway, that's what we do. Urban arts, and yeah.
Thanks, Ruben. That's excellent. Yeah, we were involved in that project, and it seems such a long time ago now that even started. And I know that you've achieved quite a lot since then and really grown as an organisation. So yeah, I'd like to see what happens next. For everyone's information, Ruben has just spent a week or an intensive amount of time working with some street artists on a number of walls across Great Yarmouth. So if you follow his social media, you'll be able to see where they are. And I don't think it's finished yet. So I hear that there's going to be one up on our street as of tomorrow.
You never know where is the next one. You never know. But there is another 8 to come. So
8? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
because since we start the project, every day we are receiving messages from people that I've got this house. Can you please sort it out this? Can you we are getting message all the time. And until we have got the budget, we do it.
The genie's out of the bottle.
What?
Anyway, the genie's out of the bottle. Everyone's going to want one. Thank you. I just wanted to sort of go over, just to sort of, in terms of starting a bit of a discussion here. I've always said that we're thinking about location, we're thinking about place, and we're thinking about purpose and stuff like that. I would like to think about that anyway. That's what I think about. And I've always kind of, excuse my language, thought that Norfolk is a little bit of a bullshit filter. And if you're here, if you want to be, and I've watched a lot of people leech away, lots of talent, and friends disappear for life elsewhere because they perhaps think there isn't the opportunity here. That seems to be quite a long time ago, and people have been returning, and we are increasingly seeing more people stick around thanks to certain projects. And initiatives like, for example, Outpost Studios in Norwich. It's now managed 15 years later, we've sort of generated a community that likes to stick around of artists, and obviously that's having impacts and influences elsewhere, and it's not the only reason why people stick around in Norwich, but anyway. And I think even more so with Great Yarmouth, people are here, or increasingly you come here and you stay here as a creative because you want to be here. And it's no one's forcing us to be here. We're here because we enjoy it. We see the opportunity. And I think what's coming through in a lot of our conversations or people's stories, whatever, and their reasons for being here, is seeing an opportunity, enjoying what the place has to offer in terms of its sort of the experience of being by the sea, in a place where the culture is very different. Where I think everything for us feels new. You were saying about London, or the UK feeling new, Pedro, but I think for us moving from Norwich to Great Yarmouth feels like a completely fresh experience. It's not like going anywhere else or beings. Everything is revealed to you constantly and everything feels refreshed. So what I'm quite interested, I mean, something that we always kind of think about when we're working here is why we do it and how we do it, and for what purpose, I suppose. But very aware that we're sort of trying to, we're here, we want to be here, we're filling a gap that of something that doesn't exist, that we kind of want to see here. But there's also that sort of checking ourselves to understand whether the place actually needs it. So it's this sort of thing about sort of our responsibility and how we work and how we operate and how that feels as people who are outsiders coming in. I mean, there's this kind of whole sort of dialogue, internal dialogue that we have between us around this. And I just wondered if anybody else does that themselves in how they work, and actually how that sort of fuels what we do as well in interesting ways. That makes sense.
Well, yeah, that makes sense at all. Like, it's one thing I've noticed, like since I started to get involved within the community as well, like, cause you get the circle of people as well. But one thing, okay, coming out a little bit out of the community, like, view perspective, if I may say, sorry, my words. If you look in Great Yarmouth as his own body, like, it's sort of like a cycle where people originally from Great Yarmouth, from Norfolk, they're born here, come to a certain stage, and they just somewhere else. You know, the town sort of, correct me if I'm wrong, sort of, in my perspective, sort of like push you towards that way. In my case, it was sort of like, how'd you say this? It was sort of like a upside down way, if I may say so. Like, because I came from Norwich to Great Yarmouth, and a lot of people come originally from Great Yarmouth, goes out from Great Yarmouth to Norwich or somewhere else. Like, you're always looking like sort of like for the better life, you know, from a immigrant perspective. Like, you know, I came from like two different places. Like, Mozambique is certain reality, you know, and then you jump to Portugal, you're like, okay, it's something else. And then you come to UK, it's a different reality, which I believe that, I don't know, I cannot speak for everybody in Great Yarmouth, but if you spend a little bit more of the time in Great Yarmouth and try to see actually what, you know, what can be done in here, like, you know, what can be sort of like, you know, worked around, I think the people of Great Yarmouth, even the people that lives in here, they've got so much more to show and to give and to share, stuff like that. So sort of like, I mean, same path as you, like, you know, in that sort of perspective, like, you know, there's so much more like in Great Yarmouth that we still don't know. Like, even with the people that comes from outside, we have a lot to share. Like, you know, it would be nice to, I don't know, to create more opportunities, situations like where we actually can share, because it's all about sharing, like, you know, because my perspective is definitely different than your perspective of anybody else which is in a room perspective. Like, you know, if we share that, we may come up with some sort of, you know, I don't know, new thing. Yeah, so yeah, but yeah, that's it. That's the way I always thought, that's the way I think. Like, you know, if we can spend more time in the place, I think we can get a lot more. Obviously, it's not easy to live in Great Yarmouth, because Great Yarmouth is not as developed town or city as, I don't know, as Norwich or any other town like. But there's so much goodness to Great Yarmouth that, you know, people needs to be aware of. Like, you know, obviously the first reason that people goes out is obviously career, work wise, stuff like that. But I don't know, there's so much more in terms of like arts, sharing culture. Great Yarmouth is kind of, you know, it's rich. It's got all the ingredients, like, you know, it's like a stew. It's like a stew.
Think
You need to
people
give
make
it
it
time.
easy for us to be able to do the work we do around here. For instance, I lived in London for 10 years, but I couldn't do it there. Why did I do it in Great Yarmouth? And one of the things that Ruben says is true. Like, it's got the, like, it's likely to more people to be doing more and more, and maybe in 10 years times we're going to be Great Yarmouth, like, going to be like I don't know, it's going to be the spot on, or everyone wants to come here and everything, but it makes it much, I don't know, like there's something here, like the thing, why do I do this? Why do I created the group? Why do I do the things I do in the community? It's because it's easy to make it, people really react to it in a positive way, I say. And so that's why it gives us more and more, like gives you more and more motivation to do things around here. And why not giving up? Because I don't think I wouldn't be the same person as I am if I didn't do what I do. So I mean, like, and then again, the networking that we have, it's fantastic because it helps a lot. And for us to be able to be here, we all have different talents, I guess. We wouldn't be able to do it, So I mean, the networking is very good. It's very important. I remember back a few years ago, we used to do networking. It used to be like a networking event where I used to go, representing like Afroluso, and I would get a lot of other organizations around there, and so we go around like the room or the table or whatever, and we ask, so what do you do? So at the end, we used to do like the sort of like garden together and say like, oh, so okay, if you're the dance group, I'm gonna organize an event, can you come over? I think it was brilliant because we all have different things. And if they were, for instance, I remember seeing one of the organizations doing they were offering it was sort of like a workshop to work with young people, and I immediately like get their contact, and I said, well, I want to take part because it's going to help me to help my young people. So I mean, like, it's just been unfortunately I don't know if they're still doing it, but I think it was a great thing. They used to do it at St. George's, at the Priory Centre, where all the organizations get together and then just share what we do, and it was fantastic. And the amount of people that were there, you think like, oh my God, look, Great Yarmouth, like Pedro said, is really rich, in terms of like communities getting together and do things. And even like the events we've done in the past, we did one, the Piri, right? It was really good because we brought like a lot of people. We brought dance, music. It was great, so yeah, I think we
that was a highlight. That was an excellent event, and I hope that we can recreate it at some point. So for everyone's information, it was quite early on in our time here. We connected with Ruben and we connected with Anna and hosted a music event which brought a visiting DJ who was in Norwich for the weekend to Great Yarmouth on the Sunday. We had the club to ourselves on a Sunday afternoon. We had Portuguese dishes from every country and a piri hot sauce competition and Afroluso dancing. And it was really fun, actually. And it seems such a long time ago now, but one day we'll be able to dance together again.
The competition was awesome. We had what, about 12 or 15 different piri-piris. That was awesome.
By the way, my mum won, so I just want to make sure she won the competition. But it was good. It was really good.
I was just going to say, Pedro said something about Norwich being developed, and I think Jack has said in the chat on YouTube as well that maybe it's not too developed here. As it's not too developed, it allows the possibility of growth, and I think I really agree with that. But lots of people, like when I finished art school in Norwich, people would go to London because they saw that was where opportunities were. But yeah, I don't know, it felt like you could stay in Norwich and make your own opportunities. So maybe it takes a particular kind of person to be in a place like this who, yeah, I don't know, sort of goes where things aren't happening rather than where things are happening. I don't know, maybe Lotte, do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I'm muted. I think like a lot of the things we're talking about is like depends on also how you relate to a place, right? It's like I don't think anybody who's not from here who moved here like solely to look at like what needed filling or something, because there's already so much happening here. If you just look around, I think it's more that how intimate you want to be with a place. And you know, it's like, say Carl, who I think most people here like on the Zoom know, who does the stencil stuff. It's like you walk down King Street with him and he's like, oh yeah, like that's where I got like thrown through the window into the pub, or that's where someone beat me up, or like that's where I had my first kiss. And like I think that for me, like what I always look for with a place is like, you know, you want to feel like you really know its history, and you know, and like to be on an intimate like level with it and on intimate terms, and that's really important. And I, you know, like my personal opinion is like we need to abolish this word community. Like, you know, I use it as well, but like I think we should just ban it, because it's such a, it's a word that I think, you know, we all use, but has been massively taken by like the academy and institutions, and totally alienates you from like somehow the people you're talking about, which in a town like Great Yarmouth is often including you because it's so small. And I think that it's ultimately like quite an alienating word. And also when we talk about it, it's like, what community, you know, who are we talking about? Like, let's be specific. And I think yeah, so I think a lot of it's like about how you relate to a place, and for me, like a lot of things, they just grow out of like relationships you make with people or friendships. And you know, especially with poetry or something, you're like, oh, maybe you want to do a collaboration, or maybe we should do this, and then there's like a feeling of excitement around doing things rather than a feeling of like, oh, this needs to be done because it's missing. Whereas actually I think, you know, somewhere like here, if something's missing, people will do it themselves, often.
Go ahead, Ruben.
Something. Well, in regards of that about Norwich, what I want to say it is like we never can compare Yarmouth to Norwich, because at the end of the day, we are a town and they are a city. They have got 2 universities, we don't have none. But what I like to see, and what I think we are trying all to do, that it is trying to use what Norwich have got good to bring to Yarmouth to explore the culture, the heritage, and the history of Yarmouth. I think is the best thing is using the resources and the what Norwich have got good, and use that in a way that how can we exploit the culture of Yarmouth? How can we find out about the heritage of Yarmouth? Because there is so much history, there is so much in Yarmouth that we still not know. Like I'm still learning every day. One of my best experience, it is like I had this artist doing that wall about, I'm gonna say 3 or 4 days ago, Nikki, and she was doing a wall what is about a blackjack. I never heard about that. Looks like the local people say the meat in Yarmouth, it is they saw like a wolf, what they call a black shark, with one eye. It is a myth around the Minster, and she basically done a mural about that. And I love that. I love like using these opportunities and this art to find out about the culture and the heritage only local people know. That's the culture I want to know, and I think that's what in a way we are all doing, and we are always using our experience and our contacts that we have got in Norwich. It's not trying to make Yarmouth like Norwich. It's trying to bring Yarmouth better with the resources and the people we know and the experience that we had in Norwich. And we are already doing a great job, I think.
I guess, yeah, I think I really agree with what Lotte was saying about the idea of community. And I mean, there are so many different communities, and 2 people can be a community, and you sort of, I don't know, maybe you just find a space which is for you personally, which fits you, where it allows you to do what you want. And one of the really interesting things is I guess we've all got very, very different experiences, and we bring, I don't know, our own perceptions and our own interests, and then they sort of match up and connect. And if there were 2 or 3 other contemporary art organisations here, then we'd more likely be working with them, I guess, than with an urban arts organisation and a poetry or a press, or I don't know, or maybe we wouldn't. But I think that's quite interesting, that the spaces we fill, maybe.
Yeah, like no, I agree, and I think I was just thinking about this earlier. You know, it's like the poetry reading in March. It's like obviously you guys were there, Anna was there. Like I would see you and Anna every Wednesday at the library, you know, for the like language exchange and food, and then I was always trying to escape going to Zumba. But I will go one day when I feel less embarrassed about the dancing. But yeah, it's like, because you're in a small town, the nature of it is you end up, like I said earlier, you know, you might not even share interests, but you end up seeing each other and doing things together, and you have friends who are doing completely different things, so you go to that to support them, and it creates like these quite rich friendships and relationships that I think aren't just based on being into the same thing, which I think is like for life is really important, and for anything kind of in the arts or otherwise.
Yeah, I guess it's a richness of experience which you can fully embrace here. You can, immerse yourself in Great Yarmouth or whatever it is. Sorry, I think we were just smiling because we saw Lygia saying that Lotte was running away from the Zumba.
They did drag me up the stairs that time. It's not even the dance. Like, I really like dancing. It's something about when it's made such a big deal of that I've got to go to Zumba. I'm like, all the eyes are gonna be on me, which is why I've been avoiding it. But I will go at some point.
Don't listen to Lygia, just come over, no pressure. I'm sure you're gonna. I spoke with your mom even. Your mom was like recommending you to join in, so it'll be great and fun. It's fun. It's nothing, no pressure.
One of the things that I'm slightly nervous of is that in 10 years' time there might be loads of stuff happening, and maybe Yarmouth won't be the thing it is now, which we all find quite engaging and exciting, and maybe in 10 years' time it will be time to go somewhere else.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I was about to say, like, I don't know, everything. I mean, anything is possible, right? I think it's all about expansion. Can I say that? The expansion. You cannot. You have to share the cake, man. You get what I'm saying? You have to share the cake. I mean, like, it's not, everything. Who I am nowadays, I cannot say that I am Pedro or I am MRP or whatever just by my own. If I say, the people of Great Yarmouth, the community of Great Yarmouth, they all made me who I am today, and I'm actually ever so grateful to it. And with that, I can share to other people. If I can share to other people, I don't know. So 10 years, I don't know. Hopefully, Great Yarmouth will be better. That's what we're working for. We'll have so much more to do, to give, to share. And if we can go somewhere else and share that expertise, that knowledge, why not? I cannot say in such point like it will be like this, but I can imagine, that's how creativity works anyway. You can imagine and visualize and just bring it to reality. So yeah.
I mean, like, as long as if we move, we could always mention Great Yarmouth. It would be good, isn't it? Like, everything we experience here, we can just say, yeah, I came from Great Yarmouth, and I've done a lot of things there. So even if it's changed or if we move, I think I'm always gonna bring Great Yarmouth in my heart.
maybe in 10 years, if the sea gets a bit closer, we might all have to move anyway. Hopefully not. If anyone has any questions, by the way, if you want to drop them in the YouTube chat, go ahead. Does anyone in the group have any questions for anyone?
Son.
What's Benjamin asking? Well, maybe Henry, maybe the conversation has come to the point where Pedro performs and plays us out.
I was just going to say that as I know you just said any questions, but I'd leave it about 20 seconds, as there's normally a bit of delay, and then you go on to the next thing, and then someone posts something. But in case anyone is going to post anything in the YouTube chat, I'll just read out a couple of things that people have said from there, maybe, just to give people a minute to reply, in case they do want to. This looks really interesting. It's good to know what's happening where I live on the creative side. As a photographer, I'd love to make a portrait of each person in this talk for my new photo project. It's from David Almeida. Hi, Great Yarmouth. Really enjoying the speaking and seeing all the activities. We are building more connections and working together in partnership, collaboration, which is really great. What is this tune? Good work, Ruben. The South Dean seawall is screaming out for a graffiti project. Not sure who owns that wall. Maybe Pleasure Beach?
I was reading that by the way.
Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't know if you all were, so I thought it's good to mention it.
That's fine. Shout outs. I don't know who belongs that, but I think Jules can find out that for me, please. Shout out to Jules.
And well, yeah, if you've already very, very inspiring. It's really good to hear good things happening in Yarmouth, and thanks to all your hard work and community spirit. Great, sort of exciting work happening in Great Yarmouth. And also saying, I believe Norwich is more famous compared to Yarmouth. Yes, but there's a cultural vibe growing in Yarmouth. Norwich as a city is normal to be what it is, but Yarmouth is growing. And also, Kaavous says, make sure you try and eat all the cake. There's no other. Oh no, Jamie Freeman's just.
Just as Pedro was saying, you know, as you go through life, you have to try the cake.
Yeah. Oh no. Kaavous is always coming in the chat room and posting about eating all the cake. Jamie Freeman's just posted saying, I suppose there's interesting parallels with Margate. Creative projects have significantly changed the town, arguably for the better, but there's a delicate balance of displacement to navigate. I guess the question is, how do you mitigate the risk, that risk happening in Great Yarmouth in 10 years' time?
Yeah, that's something we're very aware of. Do you want to say something about that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you one of the things is that you say quite a lot is that being in another place, you have no control over how you might impact or influence or change a situation. It's like being part of an experiment, I suppose. It'll always have you'll always have an impact on the outcome. But yeah, I mean, I think we're very concerned with and prioritizing our artist-led status in this situation. I mean, there's this discussion, and obviously there's drive for cultural regeneration in places like Great Yarmouth, where there has been decline in things like tourism and the economic fortunes of the place post the, obviously, things like industry as well, leaving the fishing industry being what we were originally built on. Yeah, I think being grassroots and being artists and being mindfully responsive to things is really critical. I don't know, it's quite different to Margate, I suppose. Proximity to London, routes across like the trains, transport links, that sort of thing, are very we're sort of very distanced, and I think that sort of saves us a little bit from things happening in such a quick, rapid way. I don't think it's going to happen overnight, and I don't know, I think that maybe, I don't know, things like COVID have obviously changed that situation. So mitigating the risk is not something we can really control.
No, but yeah, it's something we're very aware of, and we try and make sure that everything we do has a relevance to the place and is made from the place. So hopefully it makes it stronger and more resilient and builds up its own strength rather than shipping things in from elsewhere, even though the title of this is not from around here.
Yeah, I think inclusivity is really important. Like you said, sort of using the resources that are here to produce material or responses or, you know, experiences based on conversation. They don't have to be like a physical resource either. It's just like, I think just talking about human relationships and things like that's really important. So yeah, and we have to be ultra resilient as well, because obviously we're not of the place either. So it's sort of finding our people is quite an interesting task, but it's also like, don't be in a hurry. I think that's it, because every day we meet someone new that's really exciting and really interesting, and adds another little sort of I don't know, bit of intrigue. And yeah, who are you?
Yeah, so
Also, I just don't know if I really buy the narrative that like creative projects start happening in a place and then that's what leads to gentrification. It's like somewhere like Yarmouth, and I don't know anything about Margate, but I'm sure too, it's like there's always been creativity. There's so much creative stuff going on. It's just not in the like pre-packaged way that we're kind of sold this idea of what is creativity and like how it has to look and sound and be. And I think that what happens in somewhere like Margate isn't that a load of people came and started doing creative stuff, right? It's like that people wanted to buy houses somewhere that was cheaper, or like kind of state money went there towards maybe, you know, arts projects that also were kind of like also about industry, and that it wasn't really like creativity happened, and that's what led to gentrification in many ways. It's like it's like more economic, I think, in many ways. And I think somewhere like Yarmouth, there already is like quite a lot of creativity, and I don't think that something like gentrification, like I think it's also about your intention, right? And like if you already have relationships with people and you're grounded and committed to the place you are, you're not going to play the same role in the process of gentrification, which is often people who are kind of more just like transient and like looking for somewhere that's cheap and easy to do stuff. It's a bit different to being actually committed, like I think everybody here is, to a place rather than just a place that's like easy to be in.
I think it's quite, yeah, and I also think it's quite a difficult place to be. Like, say you're here because you want to be. It's not easy. You have to kind of work pretty hard and be doggedly kind of committed to why you're doing something. Your intention is quite important, I think, here. I think lots of places who perhaps have seen change have also a slightly different historic character to them as well, so that has maybe fostered the conditions where those sorts of things can happen. I think that Great Yarmouth has a bit more grunt to it than other places, perhaps. Anyway, yeah, I don't really want to say too much because I'm making myself sound like an idiot, but yeah, no, I mean, I think it's just a very unique place in the fact that I don't think it would welcome that very easily.
Sorry, can I just say something? Are you hearing?
Yeah.
Can you hear? Yeah? Good. No, I just want to say something. It's not related to what you were talking, but I was going through the comments, and I don't think Henry read this one, but David Almeida, what worked for us already before, is saying this looks really interesting. It's good to know what's happening where I live on a creative site. As a photographer, I would love to make a portrait of each person in this talk for my new project, my new photo project. So heads up.
Just do a screenshot, David.
Pardon? Just do a screenshot. That's the best way to do it. So I don't know if you guys are interested on that or not. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that's fine.
Should we pass over to Pedro?
Yeah. I mean, like just before leaving, just going back to the subject.
Oh, sure.
If I still remember. So yeah, we're speaking about like obviously that has to do obviously with it's one of the things that I mentioned actually before I speak is when I spoke before people tend to get out of Yarmouth. It doesn't mean that people wants to get out of Yarmouth. It's just like the conditions, like, you know, I mean, like in perspective of 10 years, like I can imagine obviously this place having more resources, you know, to have people here. A lot of people, well, as we all know, like business and stuff like that, it's all closing up like in Great Yarmouth, which is like one of the factors that, you know, push people towards out of the town. I believe like, you know, if some way somehow like we can sort of like create, or somebody can create like some sort of like, you know, a base, like sort of like a resource, so, you know, can get these creative people here, you know, I think we'll start to see a lot much more of creativity side. Like, you know, I completely agree with Lotte. There's so much of creativity going on in Great Yarmouth that is actually crazy. Like, you know, I remember that was like February time. I don't know, I was with the boy, which I'm not gonna mention his name here, but he's really talented. I think Anna knows he's talented. He does capoeira. I find out actually he sings. He's like a model. He does so many things, like, you know. And once I went to his house and like asked him, like, you know, okay, what's up? What you doing in your life? Like, he's like, I'm not doing much. I'm looking for work and all that. I'm like, okay, right. And he asked me, like, you know, do I still do my music? I'm like, yeah, I do my music. He's like, oh, actually, I've got some bars. And out of nothing, he just pulled out this little book full of lyrics, and I was like, my God, you know, you do like capoeira, modeling, and all that. I didn't even know like actually you can rap. Like, it's like, yeah, I can rap. And instantly it starts showing me so many lyrics. I think we just spent like an hour in there, and I was like amazed, and I was like, man, why are you not doing this? Like, you know, you should be focusing on this, like, you know, something can happen. It's like, yeah, you know, sometimes like I write, but, you know, I need to find work and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, then if I can help you with anything, I'll always be here. But I think it's more about that, like, you know, if you can sort of give like people the right hand, the right support, like we'll get to see a lot more creativity going on in Great Yarmouth. Like, you know, I think that's very important. And I had the question, I don't know if you guys still have the time to discuss this. Like, before I arrived to Great Yarmouth was really creative, like sort of like music ground, like out of nothing that sort of stopped. I don't know if anybody has the answer for me, like, you know, what happened. I think we used to have the T4, was it the T4, something like that? But yeah, and that brought a lot of people, who I believe, like to Great Yarmouth, you know, especially on the tourism side, like. But out of nothing that went down. I don't know why. Actually, I don't know why. I never actually researched about it, but I think that had a big impact back in the time when the T4 was here. I don't know if anybody wants to speak about it.
Yeah, I went to that Pop Beach was a couple of times, but yeah, I don't know. We didn't really mention that there was a quite a brilliant art school here right until the end of the 90s, and that would have created a very visible creative community within the town centre areas, you know, and people travel far and wide for that, and you know, there's some great memories attached to it for some people who, you know, went on to study elsewhere and have incredible careers. So yeah, I think that would have had a massive impact, a ripple effect as well on that kind of visibility within the town, certainly. Yeah, I don't know about the music scene. I think the erosion of venues and all sorts of different personalities kind of coming of age, maybe leaving hanging up their their boots, hats, guitars, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, well, hopefully, you know, we're on the verge of creating some really good things, and there's a lot of young people coming through now that hopefully won't disappear as well.
Yeah.
It'll be excellent.
It's really sad, like to see like obviously the arts building. I think it's municipal arts building. Well, it's just beside St. George's. Like, you know, I think when I arrived, they still was still running, and like they just shut down and turned to a flats, and I was like, what's going on? Like, you know, that place is such a beautiful place, like, you know, and it would give so much access to people as well, but and then like shut. I don't know. Anyway, it was nice to have this place open.
Just
Yeah,
oh, sorry.
Sort of touch on the fact that being a seaside town as well, we've always was kind of a place ripe for sort of youth subcultures as well. So, you know, through the from the birth of the teenager after the war right through to up till the 90s ravers, which I can recall myself attending things on the flea front. But yeah, I mean, that again, those things are sort of slightly changed as the internet and lots of other things have kind of kicked in to change how people engage with each other and share their passions, I suppose, which isn't visible because it's, you know, it's in bedrooms or whatever. But
I was just going to say that just going on what you both said there, some people who are tuned in will probably have been tuned in 2 weeks ago for the Assembly Online event with Matt and East that was called Storm from the East, the roots and rise of rave culture in East Anglia, that focused on Great Yarmouth. And so if you are interested in learning more about the history of that and the history of the scene in Great Yarmouth and what was involved with it and what came out of it, I've posted a link into the chat, or just go on our channel that I think might be of interest.
And if you want to see the scene that's coming next, then Pedro's going to take it away now.
Yep.
Yep, I'm gonna take away. Right. I'm gonna do two different works. I was just revising some of the work, and I was like, what am I gonna show here? So I'm gonna do a bit of a song, a rap, and I'm gonna read one of my work text. Actually, you know, relates to this, to the event name actually. So I'll start with the word speech. Just bear with me a second. Right. It's funny because the name of the thing as well. So here we go. It's a poem. Elsewhere, a word by word, a history that was never told, a moment that is never sold, a thought that will take you, desire and dreams that will shape you, home, out, a state of being. The soul never chooses where, but the experience mentioned elsewhere. Feelings engulfed.
not muted.
I think that was muted. It's fine. Well, I can read again if you guys want, if you missed a bit. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So okay, here we go again. So this is a
Rewind.
poem. Yeah. Rewind. Bring it back. So I'll start with the poem and then I'll go with the music. So here you go. Elsewhere, a word by word, a history that was never told, a moment that is never sold, a thought that will take you, desire and dreams that will shape you, home, out, a state of being. The soul never chooses where, but the experience mentioned elsewhere. Feelings engulfed in a step that tells you if you look back, there is no elsewhere, but somewhere, a word by word, told me elsewhere. So that was the poem. And
That's dope, Pedro. That's dope. Well done, man.
it's just some thoughts. Anyway, and I'll sing rap. Let me just share the screen with you. Spare a second. Share screen. Right. So this is it's called I'm Up. Sort of like self-motivational song. So right, here we go. Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Listen. Magnesia rap your passion work. Lay down to my people, switching out to the real. Let's put it down to the limit. I never give up on my dreams. I'm a reach, pushing hard to the feeling. I go hard to a beat. David, beating good liar. 2011 was the start. I don't really have to mention. I'm ready for the road. Going for the nation with this full sensation. Music acceleration, spicy on the plate with the flavor of a mentor. Popping on the make, brewing hooks. I'm the greatest. Sitting on the run with the winning, punching with the flame. I keep myself focused to the end. No mistake, just letting every day we plan. Either you get, you lose it. Know the motto, don't stop, don't lose it. You lose it, peace. Just know I'ma do it. Till you conclude that I'm the dude with the dreams to pursue. Fresh out of life school for this thing, I'm a tutor. Messing with this vibe is a straight exclusion. It's a God gift, I'm only warming up. I can see myself at the heights of glory. I'm up, I'm up, I'm up, I'm way up. Do the blessing, I'm chasing, not afraid of. I said I'm up, wait up. GY is the ground where I kicked up. I said I'm up, wait up. I said I'm up, I'm wait up. I said I'm wait up. Oh Lord, be my witness when I'm fired up. I said I'm wait up. I'm wait up. I said I'm up. Long time dreaming on this thing at the stage where people are feeling me. I was raised pretty but order, so one day I took it this music out loud. But the fellas still like me. Practice, there's no hell I'm more full of peace and peace. So with you, what many thoughts impossible, you know, but a dream. If you trip, you never reach when you climbing up the hills. Embrace it like a money emancipation with the bravery. I think that's rare these days, maybe mystery. Everybody's immersed at the eyes of happiness. Never realize the first to clean the heart and keep it blessed with the stress. I can't see myself at the heights, living blessed. The ones love on my side, the stress. But then you hear me screaming out loud with no stress, saying, I'm up, I'm wait up. To the blessing I'm chasing, I'm not afraid of. I said I'm up, I'm wait up. UI is the ground where I kicked up. I said I'm up, I'm wait up. I'm up, I'm wait up. I said I'm up, I'm wait up. Oh Lord, be my witness when I'm fired up. I said I'm up, I'm wait up. So, right, here we are. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I wish you could see me on the
Brilliant, Pedro.
background. I was like doing my rapping.
Well done, Pedro. It was brilliant.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I look forward to a live performance at some point soon, please.
Fingers crossed.
Well, thank you very much to everyone who's involved with tonight. And thank you to everyone who's been tuning in. Some applause coming through on the chat there, Pedro. I hope you can see that. Passing on all caps. Really great, cool, superb. Loving it. They're on about 30-second minute delay. So just to round up, the links to everyone who's been involved on tonight, I can post in the chat. I'm just trying to check if they're underneath the video. They should be in the description. they're not, I'll add them. I'll add them in the chat. Yeah, sorry. I'll add them in the chat in a minute. Just to say what's coming up next. In 2 weeks on Assembly Online, we have the 4th International Poetry Reading event with Vic Shirley from the UK, Henna Kaira Kwaka from Ghana, LKN from Philippines, Avery R. Young from USA, and hosted by Kai Draper from Norwich. And then we'll have 2 weeks off for Christmas and New Year festives. I'm back on the 7th of Jan every 2 weeks until the end of April. I'll leave the stream running for a second just to be able to post links to different people in there. But for now, thank you. I don't know if you guys want to say anything. I don't know if Kaavous is typing or about to say something. Leaning forwards. No.
Doing some screen grabs. So you need to do that. Thanks everyone. That's been really excellent, and thank you, Henry, for hosting this. It's been really fun to connect with people that we work with from Great Yarmouth, and hopefully next time we meet, we can be very productive and just be a little bit closer.